January 20th, 2022, this is FOMO's a MOFO, a video game collecting podcast. Coming up on today's episode, Microsoft purchases Activision Blizzard. A new Hatsune Miku game is announced for Nintendo Switch, and an eShop game gets a price hike? Welcome to FOMO's a MOFO. I am your host, BlueSwim, and on episode 2, we have so much to talk about. But before I get rolling on that, I wanted to touch on a few show notes. First and foremost, there is not going to be a specific day of the week that I record the show or I put the show up. My only real schedule is once a week. Whenever I see you, I see you. And basically a lot of that just comes down to the fact that sometimes I get hit with migraine headaches, sometimes I'm swamped with work. So, yeah, sometimes I can't count on being free on a Thursday night or a Friday afternoon or whatever it may be. And the second thing is that I am going to probably be experimenting with the ad placement for the show. I think the current setup is 2 at the front, 2 at the back. I might do it so it's like 1 at the front, 2 in the middle, 1 at the back. Or I might just do 2 in the front, 2 in the middle, and then that's it. So if I experiment with these things and it really drags down the listening experience for whatever reason, poke me on Twitter at FOMO's a MOFO and let me know, and I'll work on fixing it. I'm still new at this whole solo show thing, so I'm feeling my way along. So, any constructive criticism you can throw my way, go for it. Keyword, constructive. But anyways, let's get to collecting news, because we have a lot to talk about. Microsoft has purchased Activision Blizzard for an estimated $68.7 billion with a B dollars in cash, shattering Take-Two's recent record for the most expensive video game company acquisition when they bought Zynga for $12 billion, just about a week ago. And this is a massive announcement for a couple of reasons. First and foremost, Call of Duty, Guitar Hero, Overwatch, Diablo, Tony Hawk, Crash Bandicoot, Spyro the Dragon, and a massive back catalog of Activision titles stretching all the way back to the early 80s, I want to say, is now most likely, or at the very least in the near future, going to be Xbox exclusive, and probably going to be on Xbox Game Pass at some point. Post-production note from the future. About an hour and a half after this episode finished recording, Microsoft's Phil Spencer said the following on Twitter. Had good calls this week with leaders at Sony. I confirmed our intent to honor all existing agreements upon acquisition of Activision Blizzard, and our desire to keep Call of Duty on PlayStation. Sony is an important part of our industry, and we value our relationship. So either things aren't going to change at all, or maybe this really does put some fuel on the fire of Xbox Game Pass eventually coming to PlayStation consoles. Either way, only the future knows for certain. And in the meantime, please enjoy this rant already in progress. And that is a massive blow for Sony, specifically the Call of Duty part, because I believe that franchise always sells better on PlayStation. I could be wrong about that, but at least in this current console generation, it's always been the case that Call of Duty just sells better on PlayStation. That's where the Call of Duty gamers are. But this isn't a death blow to Sony, but their stock price did take a huge hit. They dropped $20 billion in market value in just a day because of this announcement. So, but basically, what you have is, a world or a future for the PlayStation 5 where Call of Duty is possibly not a part of it. Or it's going to be a future where Microsoft is basically holding the cards because they have Xbox Game Pass. And I think there's a good potential that they will use the momentum of this announcement and basically the bargaining posture, I guess you'd say, to try to get Xbox Game Pass on other platforms. I think, they could walk up to Sony and say, okay, so you really want Call of Duty on your system. Well, in order for you to have that, you're going to have to allow Xbox Game Pass on the PlayStation 5. And Sony's been working on their own answer to Xbox Game Pass, which, I mean, with this announcement has basically gone a long way towards cementing itself as the Netflix of gaming. So they have a lot of momentum to bargain with. And, you have to wonder what Sony is going to do to respond to this. Are they going to panic buy a third party? Possibly, a company like maybe Capcom or Square Enix or maybe EA. I mean, quite frankly, I don't know exactly how much money they have to work with. I don't know if they could drop, $68 billion or whatever in cash to buy EA or something like that. But I do think they have to react, because Microsoft, between this announcement and the Bethesda announcement, might have potentially set off, somebody called it a gold rush of game company acquisition. And it's a good possibility that could be exactly what happens. And another thing is, how is Nintendo going to respond to this? Are they going to start panic buying anybody? Could they buy Capcom? Could they finally pull the trigger on Sega? And Sega owns Atlus, so that would secure the Persona franchise as a Nintendo exclusive, and that's a really good feather to have in their cap. Ultimately, where this goes is anybody's guess. Some financial experts have thought that this $68 billion purchase was primarily for the metaverse augmented reality thing that practically nobody walking on the street could tell you what the hell it's actually about, myself included. But I think this was more a contracted hit on Sony and the PlayStation's success in the gaming industry. This is an attempt to swing momentum towards Xbox, and quite frankly, it's going to work. The landscape of gaming is changing, and where it goes, I have no idea. It's going to be fun to watch, if nothing else. Moving on, we have a couple of limited editions that are now available for pre-order on NIS America's website, and both of these are $89.99 each. They are the special editions for The Legend of Heroes Trails from Zero, and that's available on the PS4 and the Switch. And the apparently Switch-only Crystar limited edition. And let's see, Crystar is going to be out on March 29th, 2022. And let's see what we got here. Looks like the special edition for Trails from Zero has some SSS classified files hardcover art book, the official soundtrack CD, a cloth poster, a nice looking cloth poster from what I'm seeing in the pic, an acrylic stand, a steel book, and a collector's box. And looks like, from what I'm seeing, it should be the sort of special edition where you do get the case for the regular version of the game as well as a steel book. And that's something that's like an issue for me, because I bought Hot Wheels Unleashed, whatever the most recent Hot Wheels game was, and I got it for the Switch on Black Friday, and I think it was like $35, and it had the steelbook version of the game, an actual car with it, not a Hot Wheels car, not a real car, but and it had a nice steelbook with it, but it did not have the regular version of the case, and that throws off the look on the shelf. And that's one thing that bugs the hell out of me. I know Rune Factory 5 is basically making the same mistake. It's like over in Europe, they're getting the regular version of the case and the steelbook. But here in America, we're just getting the steelbook. And it's not bad if they do it like Shin Megami Tensei 5, where when they do a steelbook version of it, they include a slip that has like all the proper spine artwork, all the proper branding on the package, and it's a steelbook underneath. That's fine. Doing it like that, or like Halo 2 did back in the day with their limited edition. That's the way to do it. If you just include a steelbook and there's no branding on it, no proper spine artwork that, goes with the rest of the shelf, as a collector, it irritates me. It's, it throws off the look of the shelf, and that just gets under my skin something fierce. And let's see. Moving on to the Crystar limited edition, which is looks like they have about 26 to 50% left on their stock meter. And NIS America has a little stock meter on the product pages on their website. And let's see, in this one you get, looks like the standard edition of the case as well. You get a special soundtrack, a hardcover art book, a visual diary, quote, the Sorrow of Ray 17 by 24 inch cloth poster, Weeping Warrior acrylic stand, and the Souls in Purgatory art cards. And that's a neat looking special edition too. I don't know much of anything about Crystar. I just happened upon it when I was researching things for today's episode. But it looks like something I need to check out. And something I know I'm going to check out is a new Hatsune Miku game for the Nintendo Switch. And what this one is, it's actually a puzzle game. And unfortunately, I haven't seen anything as far as gameplay goes, and the only pic that I'm seeing, for some reason, has copyright 2017 Nintendo on it. I'm not sure if that's just for the Switch name and when it was copyrighted, but what the one preview image I do see is it looks like there are going to be little miniaturized, cute bird versions of the Vocaloid characters like Miku and Lin and Ren and Luca and Mako and Naito? That it? The other dude in the group. And there's a whole bunch of eggs on there as well, so it's probably going to be some sort of like if I had to guess, maybe like a bird-themed match 3 game. But there's nothing else to really go on, at least as far as I can see, or at least as what I've found. And no firm release date on that. But it looks like it's going to be interesting. Let's see, moving on, we have Kingdom Hearts, the cloud versions of Kingdom Hearts 1, 2, and 3, and I'm not keeping up with whatever ridiculous titles they have on that. I believe they are going to be out on February 10th and on the Switch, and because they're cloud versions, of course, you have to have an online connection. And if you want to find out whether or not these are actually going to run very well or not, they have put up demos for all 3 of them on the eShop. So just grab one of those and give it a spin. And if you want to have the Kingdom Hearts games on the Switch in some way, shape, or fashion, I guess it's better than nothing. Still not the way you can do that, I guess. Honestly, I at least for the PS2 era ones, port those over, because not every game in the Kingdom Hearts series requires PS4 caliber hardware. It's not everything's Kingdom Hearts 3, So that should have some sort of a actual physical release of some sort, but instead they just go the cloud route because it's cheaper, it's easier, I guess. And they can always sell it to you on down the line once the service goes down. Moving on, we have a rare price increase on the Nintendo eShop. This is for Mutant Mudds Collection. I could be mispronouncing that. I think it's Mudds. I thought I heard somebody pronounce it Mods. I think it's Mudds. But Mutant Mudds Collection is going to be going up from $14.99 to $19.99 on January 26th. And the reasoning why? Because we think it's worth it, the developer tweeted out, or publisher perhaps. Atui LLC on Twitter. They said, the Nintendo Switch market has matured since 2017. Many top-tier indie games are priced at $19.99 and above. We feel MMC provides the same value as those titles. Mutant Mud's collection has been on sale many times for as low as 99 cents, allowing fans and curious players to download the game at bargain prices over the past 5 years. Now the game is 10 years old, we feel it is time for MMC to stand proud at the value we feel it provides. You know, I get the feeling that, they saw all these other titles out there making far more money than they were. And they thought, you know what? We need that. We deserve that. And, when you put a lot of work into these things, it's understandable to feel that way. But I don't think it's kosher to raise the price on a game. At least a digital game like this, unless you are doing some sort of a massive, massive content update on it. And quite frankly, I can't recall any other situation where an eShop game has gone up in price from what it launched at. I can't recall any other game, period, doing this. Outside of, a PlayStation 5 version of a game being $70 instead of $60 when it's pretty much the same thing. But I mean, good on them for feeling, pride in the game that they put out. I haven't played it myself, but, they feel it's worth it. So that's good. But I don't know that many people are really going to agree with that. I think the stance is always, if it's been out for 10 years, it needs to be going down in price. Unless it's some rare physical game that, demand has spiked on it, probably because of somebody on YouTube saying, here's an underrated gem. But you have a few days left to grab it at the $15 price, or whatever it is, before it jumps up. So if you have any interest in it, now's the time, or you can always wait out a sale on it. Because eventually this is exactly what's going to happen with it. I don't think this is going to work the way they really want it to. I think it's just going to make it even harder for people to justify picking it up when there's so much competition on the Switch. Next up, Limited Run has put up a whole ton of pre-orders, or they're about to. Basically, we have A Little Golf Journey, which is a title another one that I know nothing about, but it looks like a charming little adventure game, I guess you'd say. A golf adventure type game. And it is going to be opening for pre-orders. Actually, it is already open for pre-orders because it started on January 18th. Another one that's going live tomorrow, January 21st, is Astalon Tears of the Earth. And this is going to be going live on Switch and PS4. And I want to say, let's see. Oh, no, wait, that's the next one up. That's going up on January 24th. And this one looks like a retro NES graphic style 2D game. And again, I know nothing about this. There's just so many games to keep up with that I'm hoping that because of doing this show, I'm going to learn about a lot more things out there that I probably wouldn't have under ordinary circumstances. And let's see, another one that is opening for pre-orders is Blacksmith of the Sand Kingdom. And this is going to be on PS4 and PS5. Limited quantities available on PS4. And it's going to be a 4-week pre-order. And let's see. And I forgot to make note of the date on this. Man, I am just not on a roll today. That's looks like a dungeon crawler, I believe, or an RPG from Kemco. And let's see. Now another one of the bigger titles, and this one I can actually tell you a little bit about because of the name of it. And this is River City Girls 0. And pre-orders are going to open on that on January 28th, and this is the sequel to the beat-em-up brawler that I was not able to get during the blowout sale. Thanks, Limited Run. But this is going to be available physically on the Switch, PS4, and PS5. And it looks like it's going to be more of like a Super Nintendo caliber beat-em-up brawler. So that should be worth checking out. And it's by Way Forward. And of course, River City Girls is now a 2-game deep franchise. And I've heard nothing but good things about it. I just haven't gotten around to picking it up because I was hoping to get my hands on a physical copy. FOMO really is a mofo. Let's see. Last up for collecting news, we have the pre-orders opening for Galgun Double Piece on the Nintendo Switch for $39.99. That is up on Best Buy. And that'll be coming out on March 17th. As well as the pre-orders opening for Skull the Hero Slayer for $30 on PS4 and $35 on Nintendo Switch. And that'll be out about a week later on the 25th of March. And of course, Galgun Double Piece was released on, I want to say it was PS4 and the Vita. I could be wrong about that. And this will be the third Galgun game to hit the Nintendo Switch. And the first one that hit was actually Galgun 2, not Double Piece. So it's like 1 Double Piece, then 2, I think? Is that right? Numbers. In sequential order. That's all I'm asking. Just make it easy on me for once. But Galgun is a series of games where you basically play someone wielding a pheromone gun, and every single girl in school has a crush on you, and you use the pheromone gun, and they how can I say this without needing the explicit tag? They get rather joyful expressions once you blast them with the pheromone gun. It's a rather not quite wholesome title, but it is. It's going to be out in just about 2 months' time, and that's one that's probably going to be featured on a pickups section in the not-too-distant future. Next up with new releases, and it's kind of a short week for new releases. I didn't see a lot that really jumped out at me, and of course, with everything else going on with the news and with deals, it's a lot of things probably could have slipped through the cracks without me knowing it. But most noteworthy so far is that Banjo-Kazooie is coming to the Nintendo Switch Online Expansion Pass today, January 20th. And of course, Banjo-Kazooie is one of the standout 3D platformers from the Nintendo 64. It's one of those games that really did a lot to build up Rare's reputation in that era. And of course, I don't know how well the emulation quality is going to be because there have been a lot of issues with Nintendo 64 emulation on Switch Online. But if you've already got the expansion pass and you're already paying for it, you might as well grab it. Now, one thing you don't even need to pay for to play, and this is the other new release that I made note of, is Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel. And this launched on several different platforms, I believe PS4, PS5, Xbox Series S and X, and Nintendo Switch. And this is a free-to-play Yu-Gi-Oh! Game, as the name Yu-Gi-Oh! Implies. And I actually spent a little bit of time with it yesterday when it came out, and it's not bad. This is free-to-play. I mean, you don't need anything to get rolling with it. It has a offline it has a solo mode. I don't know that it's offline. It probably requires a constant connection. But this one is powered by microtransactions because they're going to sell you card packs and card packs and card packs and battle passes and stuff like that. But for the low price of free, it's hard to argue. And if you like what you play, but you don't like the microtransactions, you can always go off and get the incredibly good Yu-Gi-Oh game, Legacy of the Duelist Link Evolution, which is normally around $20. I think it was on sale digitally for around $16 a few days ago. And if you like card battling games or collector card games, give Master Duel a shot. If you like what you play, definitely move on to Legacy of the Duelist, because that basically retraces every series of the anime, plus it has like 9 or 10,000 cards in it, because they had a major update. I'm trying to remember how many it was. I think it was 9,000 before the update. Then they launched a massive update which added, I want to say it was like close to another 1,000 cards with it. I could be wrong about that. But it also expanded on the most recent Yu-Gi-Oh! Story mode in the game. Because they launched, oh god, I'm trying to remember the name. Was it Zexel? Or Grains? Or something like that. And because the show was still running when the game came out, there was only like part of a story mode. It's like just a really short version of it. And I think with the major update for Link Evolution, it expanded on that significantly, and I think maybe closed that story arc out. I could be wrong. I've put like 15 hours into the thing, and I'm still working my way through the story mode of the first Yu-Gi-Oh game. I mean, we're talking a massive, massive amount of content in there. So if you like collector card games, give Master Duel a shot for free. I mean, why not? And if you like that, go grab Link Evolution. There's also another new Yu-Gi-Oh game that came out a few weeks ago called Rush Duel. But the reactions to that have been kind of mixed. It's like it changes up the traditional Yu-Gi-Oh format. I guess it kind of streamlined it a little bit, but some people were kind of, iffy on the results of how well it actually did. That one is digital only for $40. I do not know that it's going to have a physical release in the US. It had a physical release in Japan, and you can actually grab a Japanese copy if you can play it, relatively cheap on eBay, because they bundled, I think it was like 3 or 4 cards with it. And the collectors absolutely had to have the cards, and they didn't really care about the game, so you'll see a whole bunch of open copies that just say game only, or, no cards, or something like that. And they're relatively cheap, but I do believe you need to know Japanese to play it. I'm not 100% certain on that. But if it's a Japanese copy, it's kind of hit or miss whether or not you're going to get the English language track with it. More often than not, it seems like you don't. Next up, we have digital deals. And primarily, I like to do digital deals with the podcast simply because if I point out a good physical deal, it could sell out. It could go off sale without me knowing about it. But generally speaking, with the digital deals, I can kind of know what to expect and how long it's going to be up there. So hopefully, it won't be immediately out of date by the time the episode goes up. But in this particular instance, I'll mention the physical deals because Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity, Bravely Default 2, Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition, and Fire Emblem Three Houses are now $39.99 each on Amazon, both physically and digitally. And Hyrule Warriors, I will go ahead and give the honor of the must-have title of the week, and you got a demo out there, so you can try it already if you are curious about it. But this is an alternate timeline take on the fall of Hyrule from Breath of the Wild. And I say alternate timeline because I don't want to get too spoilery with it, but it's one of those things where it's like it was hyped up as being the prequel to Breath of the Wild, showing the fall of Hyrule, and everybody assumed it was going to be some tremendously, depressing, all the heroes die story, and they took it in a different direction with it. So set your expectations accordingly on that one. as far as the story goes. If you go in expecting nothing but the prequel to Breath of the Wild, you're probably going to be disappointed. But if you go in knowing that this is going to do something to change things or branch off in a different direction or a different path, if you will, it's actually a really good game. This is as the Warrior's name implies, this is a MUSO title, one of the like 1 versus 100 or 1,000 slasher games, and they are kind of like the modern equivalent of the beat 'em up brawler from back in the 90s, if you will. You know, it doesn't take a tremendous amount of skill. It doesn't take a tremendous amount of thought, but in this particular instance, they really expanded on it. They've added the ability to use different elemental rods. Like, they basically managed to combine a lot of the, standout features and gameplay mechanics of Breath of the Wild with a Dynasty Warriors style game. And the results were actually really good. It doesn't have the best performance in the world, but they nailed the visual look on it. It was my most played, or one of my most played Nintendo Switch games in 2021. And for the money, for $39, you get a tremendous amount of content with it. And there is an expansion pass you can get that adds even more to it, which, quite frankly, I mean, you can get about 100 and something hours worth out of the base game itself. So yeah, I mean, it's the must-have title of the week because it's one of those things that if you are a Nintendo Switch collector, you need to have it in your collection at some point because, number one, the popularity of Breath of the Wild. And number two, the fact that as a spin-off title of, a major franchise and as a spin-off title of the Dynasty Warriors game, the thing is exceptional. It stands on its own in spite of, the ties it has to both franchises. Moving on, let's get to the Xbox backwards compatibility sale, which is a massive, massive sale. I mean, I kind of gave up on the idea of touching on everything that was noteworthy in the sale because there's just so much stuff. But I did pull a few titles that you definitely need to have in your collection, especially at these prices. The first of which, or I should say the first three, rather, being the Tomb Raider trilogy from the Xbox 360 era. That being Tomb Raider Legend, Tomb Raider Anniversary, and Tomb Raider Underworld. And again, going back to what I was saying about numbering these entries, you have to know that the chronological order of these things basically goes: Anniversary is a remake of the first one, Legend is the second in the series technically, and then Underworld is the last in the trilogy. And these are $2.99 each, and for what it's worth, Tomb Raider Legend was kind of like Uncharted before Uncharted. It's like, I mean, of course we all knew what the Tomb Raider games were like before that, but if you like the Uncharted series, you probably would like Tomb Raider Legend as well. It's, a good mix of exploration and action, and I did my best. I think I 1,000 gamers scored it. I mean, I just loved Tomb Raider Legend, and Anniversary and Underworld were good as well, but I felt like Legend was like the perfect balance with it, good amount of story to it, and Underworld was a little bit glitchier. I think that was like the first next-gen, like full next-gen version of that Tomb Raider trilogy. So they were a little ambitious with it. Some things were a little bit wonkier than they probably should have been. But it was kind of like the growing pains with moving the engine over to a full new generation. But, $2.99 each for those. I mean, I may have some reservations about Underworld and Anniversary from time to time, but they are absolutely worth playing. And that's a fantastic price on all three of them. And next up, you have the major release of Grand Theft Auto 4 from way back when, and you can get that for $6.99. And, I mean, if you haven't played Grand Theft Auto 4 at this point, why not? This was the first next-gen Grand Theft Auto game after the tremendous success of the GTA trilogy on the PS2. And from my own personal opinion on it, it was good, but I don't know that it was quite what I was hoping it was going to be. I mean, it's a great game, don't get me wrong. But I expected more from the soundtrack. I expected more from the gameplay, but that being said, I did like Nico as a character. There was a neat, relationship that he had with his cousin. I remember towards the end of it, they have a left or right choice where you have to choose basically who lives and who dies. And I don't like to spoil anything like this, but it's one of those things where it really stuck out to me because the two options that you had were Nico Bellic's love interest, who, again, trying to avoid the explicit tag, but would never put out. That was kind of like the big gimmick around her, was that, she was very conservative about that stuff and wouldn't put out, or Nico's cousin. And you had to choose which one essentially would not see the end credits, if you will. And I remember back in the day when I played it, I, of course, tried to save Nico's love interest. That's just how I roll. And then it turned out Nico's cousin was the one that ended up getting whacked. And I thought about it for a bit, and I realized that by not having Nico's cousin, I'd lose, the taxi service that you could get to, call, pick you up, and take you to some place or whatever. And I thought, that might not be the most convenient choice to make. So I ended up reloading the save and going the other way with it. And I didn't I don't like choices like that. I'm more the let's make sure everybody lives type of guy, but in that situation where I'm facing an inconvenience if I save the character I wanted to, which basically I don't know that it was going to evolve any more from a storyline perspective. If I saved her instead, I went with the taxi service. I basically saved Nico's cousin just because of the taxi service, and it's one of those things where it's a weird memory, and I don't know that I would have done anything different with it though. But $6.99 for that, you can get a lot of bang for your buck. It's Grand Theft Auto. You know what you're going to get. It's going to be a quality title in the, I guess the crime sim games, I guess you call it. But something that's a little bit lighter-hearted and definitely different from a visual perspective is Persona 4 Arena, which is, I believe, $4.99 on the backwards compatibility sale, and that is getting a re-release of sorts in March, I want to say. For the Nintendo Switch, it's going to be Persona 4 Arena Ultimax getting the port. And I think it's probably going to have all the DLC with it, I want to say, or most of it. And I think they added the campaign or the story mode from the first game into Ultimax. So if you aren't going to get the full-priced version of this, of the sequel, I guess you'd say, then grabbing this for $5 is a great way to at least, dip your toe into the franchise and see if it's something that you would actually like to play. And this takes place after the events of Persona 4 or Persona 4 Golden, or however you played it. So if you don't necessarily want spoilers, finish that one first, then move on to this. But at $5, it's developed by Arc System Works. It's a very, very stylistic and flat out good 2D fighter. So $5 is not a lot for that. And speaking of not a lot of money, you also have for $3.99, you have Resident Evil Code Veronica X, and this is on the Xbox One and 360. I don't know if it goes to Series X or not. It probably does. I've kind of lost touch with the Xbox platform over the last couple of generations. But yeah, that $3.99 for that. That's another really good deal in a long-running franchise. And basically, you really need to check out this backwards compatibility sale because there were just so many titles I didn't get to mention, and I had to draw the line at some point. Otherwise, I'd be sitting here talking for 7 hours about all the deals that they had on here. But on the PlayStation front, there is a games under $20 sale on PSN, and you can, and going back to Persona, you can actually pick up Persona Dancing: The Endless Night Collection on PS4 for $16.49. And the reason why you want to get the collection as opposed to Persona 3 Dancing or Persona 5 Dancing is because if you buy the collection of these titles, you actually get the PS4 version of Persona 4 Dancing All Night, which was released on the PS Vita. This is the only way to get Persona 4 Dancing All Night on PS4. So $16.49 for both of them versus, I want to say it was $8.99 for just one, for either 3 or 5. That's a good deal. A very, very good deal. And those are music games from, I want to say they're developed by Atlas 2. I could be wrong about that. But, you know, it's another one of those things where if you like music games, if you love the music of Persona, you know, that's definitely worth picking up. And let's see, moving on, there's also, and I'm not sure if this is part of the games under $20 sale or if it's just coincidentally happening this way, but there is a Hatsune Miku 50% off deal on PSN for, let's see, Project Diva X, which was, I want to say that was the first PS4 Hatsune Miku game, and it kind of had a little bit of a lackluster launch because it had a smaller track list, and the progression system made going through some of the songs a little bit repetitive, but I ended up getting it on clearance physically at Walmart for, I want to say it was like $7 with like a neat little pouch with it. And I played it, you know, knowing that the reputation that it had for, you know, not being as great as the others, and I ended up really enjoying it. So you can get that for $15, $14.99 to be exact. And this was the last physical release for Hatsune Miku in the US, if I'm remembering correctly, because they haven't done anything since that has come out in physical form, and I guess that was because of the thing not selling very well, I guess. But let's see, they also have the Hatsune Miku Future Tone, Project Diva Future Tone. You can get the free version of that. I think it has like 2 or 3 songs from both of the different song packs that they have. There were like 2 main song packs with that. One was more cute themed, the other one was more rock themed or something like that. And you can grab that for free. And if you want the full bundle with both of the track packs, that is $20, $19.99, which is really good. These are the Future Tone games are direct ports of the arcade game in Japan. And this is known for having the exact opposite problem of Project Diva X, in that it has a whopping, overwhelming roster of songs with it. I forgot how many it was, but I think it was north of 200. And so getting 200 songs or thereabouts for $20 is absolutely a steal. And of course, you also have some DLC packs that are on sale for it as well that have come out afterwards, I believe. You have the season pass content for Hatsune Miku Project Diva Future Tone Mega Mix Encore Pack. Try saying that 3 times fast. And the Mega Mix pack adds some of the songs that were added for Project Diva Mega Mix or Mega 39s, I believe it was, on the Switch. There were several songs that were exclusive to the Switch game, which is also really good. And let's see, you also have the second Encore pack, I guess, which is $4.99. The other one was $7.49 on sale. And I don't know any of the songs that come with that, but again, it's a Mega Mix second Encore pack, so it's some of the songs that they added for the Switch version, or the Switch game, after the fact. And let's see. Oh, I guess you can get the season pass, which might have some different content for it as well. I've lost touch because there were so many songs. But the season pass for Future Tone is $10 as well, and that'll add some additional songs that are not in the Future Tone bundle. Last up, if you have PlayStation VR, you can enjoy the Hatsune Miku VR Future Live Season Pass for $20. And I don't have a PlayStation VR, so I really don't know much of anything about that one. But yeah, there have been an exhausting amount of good sales this past week. And hopefully you can find something that will strike your fancy. Next up, it's time for pickups. And I have had a pretty good week for pickups myself. I went out thrifting for a bit, and I came up with a really, really neat title, and that being Rocksmith with the Cable for the Xbox 360 for $7. I stumbled on it at a consignment shop, and they were doing a discount on some items, so I think I ended up getting it down from $10. I got it for $7. And what makes this such a neat title is this is basically the Guitar Hero game that you play with an actual guitar. And I've got a white body Ibanez RG series guitar that I got at a yard sale for $11, and it is a neat guitar, let me tell you. And so basically what you do is you plug this USB cable into the Xbox 360, and then you plug the other end into the jack on the guitar. And when you play the game, you are greeted with this screen where you first, as any musician would do before a gig, you tune your guitar. And, I did that. It took maybe about 10 minutes or so because I had to redo some things that didn't... It's like you tune the guitar, then it gives you the okay on it. Then you test to make sure each note or each string is tuned properly. You have to pluck each one. And I had to go back and retune about 3 or 4 of them. And then, as the game starts out, it puts you in this, stadium show on stage, and it teaches you how to play the opening notes to I Can't Get No Satisfaction by the Rolling Stones. Classic rock song. And, for someone like me who does not have much experience with the guitar, I can strum a little bit on, here and there. I can play a few things, by ear, but I really would not call myself a guitar player. I don't think I have the skill requirement for that. So, so to sit here, sit down with this thing, and in just like the first, 10 minutes or so, 10 or 15 minutes, I'm already learning how to play I Can't Get No Satisfaction, and it's actually sticking in my head. Like, I could probably go grab my guitar and play the notes that they taught me for I Can't Get No Satisfaction, and it would be just like when I was playing the game. So this was actually a brilliant concept for them to try it. And, of course, I didn't spend a ton of time with it. I moved on and played the first gig, and they kind of messed up the easing you into it approach to it, because normally with Guitar Hero, it's like they kind of very subtly turn the heat up, but when you are playing a music game using an actual real life instrument, when they turn the heat up, it doesn't work the way it would with Guitar Hero, because, you have to practice. You have to really learn these things and go through them dozens and dozens of times to get a hold of it, or to get the hang of it, I should say. And instead, what they did was, as you were playing the song, they'd eventually start adding notes in there, like halfway through the song. Like if there's like 6 notes for like the main riff of the chorus, like towards the beginning, then by the end of the song, it would have like 8 or 9 notes, and it's like kind of, it's like your fingers get kind of tangled up because, like I said, I'm not very good at the guitar. I mean, somebody with a lot of experience, maybe they could do a lot more with it. But, for $7, it's a neat way to learn how to play the guitar. And if you're curious about it, check it out on eBay. It's like copies with the cable, I think they're going for somewhere around $12 to $20. And I got a little bit frustrated with how they turned the heat up on it, but I was not discouraged from going back to it and trying to learn a little bit more to it. And they had a good song list too. They had a couple of songs by Nirvana, Soundgarden, and I think the Black Keys. But yeah, it's a good song list, pretty varied. But it's one thing that I anticipate coming back to in the not too distant future. And whenever I get the urge to learn how to play the guitar, this one's going in the Xbox. Next up, I got a good deal on Mario Golf Super Rush for the Switch. It was down to $48.99, I think, at Best Buy. And it actually had some gift cards on top of that, so that really just swamped most of that price. So I ended up going out of pocket on it, maybe like about $10. And I haven't played a lot of it, but they have this neat mode in it called I want to say it's like arena golf or battle golf or speed golf or something like that. And basically, it takes place in an arena, and you have 9 different holes scattered about in the play area. And the goal is to sink 3 balls in 3 different holes before anybody else. And if somebody, puts a ball in a hole, that hole is basically sealed off for the rest of the game. So it really kind of makes you change your strategy on the fly. If, the AI or whoever you're playing against, gets a lucky shot or just drops it in before you do, and you have to change your strategy right then and there. Do you try to get a hole away from them? Do you try to go in a different direction? And, that was the first thing I played with it, and it's, I was still learning, so I probably should have come back to that a little bit later. But what I played of it, I really, really liked. I thought that was a great mode for it. I also played a full round of 18 against 3 of the AI, and I think I did that on normal to easy. I can't remember which. And what was kind of funny or kind of eye-rolling was that the AI kept screwing up its own shots by aiming wide, and oh gosh, they missed that shot just by how far they swung it to the outside. And it's like so obviously trying to scale things back that it just wasn't a lot of fun when I played it at that difficulty level. Then I cranked it up to Pro, I think it was, and things got intense, and I loved every minute of it. Another title I picked up was Duke Nukem 3D 20th Anniversary World Tour on the Switch eShop. This was one title that dropped to $2.50 or $3, I think, during Black Friday. And with everything else that was going on, I had to say, another time. I can't go anymore. And fortunately, they put it back on sale for $2.50 or 75% off. And I played through the first stage, and it's another great experience on Switch. And this version of it adds even more than I think the Vita re-release of it was, or the PS3 version of it, in that they brought back several members of the old team, the original composer to do new tracks, the original stage designers to do a new episode for the game, and that's on top of all the other classic Duke Nukem 3D content that was already ported over. And, like I said, I haven't spent much time with it, but I played the first stage. I loved it. I'm looking forward to sitting down with it even more. Next up is I got 2 more titles in from Limited Run, and on the last show you heard me be very critical of Limited Run, which quite frankly, they deserved every ounce of criticism. But I'm also the kind of guy that will give credit where credit is due. I'm critical of these things because I want them to live up to their full potential, and I don't think Limited Run is quite yet. But to give the devil their due, after I finished recording episode 1 of FOMO's MOFO, I checked my email, and apparently I'd gotten a shipping confirmation for 2 of the things that I ordered while I was recording. And since then, since the first episode, they have arrived, and those 2 pickups being Crysis 2 Remastered on the Switch and Senran Kagura Reflections. And Crysis 2 Remastered is a Limited Run exclusive, as well as Crysis 3. Both of those are Limited Run exclusive physically on the Switch. You can get them digitally. You can get the first one at Best Buy and all these other retailers. But 2 and 3, you have to go through Limited Run exclusively to get it. And I haven't done much of anything with it yet. It did require some sort of a download, like an 800 megabyte download. And but aside from that, I really haven't done much of anything with it. I still need to beat the first game. But as for Senran Kagura Reflections, this is a rather unusual, I'll use the term again, not so wholesome Switch game where you are basically interacting with 5 of the Senran Kagura women. Asuka, Yumi, Yomi, Murasaki, and Riona, who all have completely different personality types. And basically, it's like a reflexology meets Senran Kagura lewdness game. And this version, the physical version from Limited Run, compiles the game itself, which is usually somewhere around $5 on sale. It's like $10 to begin with, but it has a bunch of DLC. The physical version through Limited Run has all the DLC, and I believe the latest patches, all on the cart. So it's basically complete and final on cart. That was one reason why this version of it was so desirable. And basically, the physical version, it adds the 4 characters that I mentioned after Asuka, Yomi, Yumi, Murasaki, and Riona. It adds them, it adds all the costume DLC, all the accessory DLC, all of it bundled onto one cartridge, and I spent a little bit of time with it. It is mostly kind of like a visual novel meets reflexology type thing, where you have to provide massages in just the right way and she'll get happy. And I'm trying not to use the explicit tag, but it's Senran Kagura and it's massaging. Yeah, it's not going to stay wholesome for long if I get too in depth with it. I don't know if I mean that literally or figuratively. But that was one title that I saw it in the blowout sale that Limited Run was doing, and I had to jump on it because I'm a fan of the Senran Kagura games. It's a really neat franchise, even if it is rather pervy, I guess you'd say. But it has a really good sense of humor to it. The characters are really well done. They're very likable, and every time they do a Senran Kagura game, they are sometimes in a different genre. It's like you'll have like the main entry Senran Kagura games that are somewhere in the middle between like a Ninja Gaiden and a Dynasty Warriors type game, or a Samurai Warriors type game, I guess you'd say. The Muso style for those. But then again, you also have things like Peach Beach Splash, which was a Senran Kagura take on Splatoon, if you will. And then you also have Senran Kagura Peach Ball, which was Senran Kagura Pinball. I love how they experiment with the franchise, but I also don't feel like a lot of the spin-offs have really excelled beyond glorified minigame or full-price minigame. But, I'm looking forward to spending more time with Reflections because it does seem like a neat concept where you're trying to help her or help the characters kind of, I guess, explore parts of their personality, or they discover parts of their personality when you rub their hands just the right way. And one neat thing about it is that it uses the HD rumble, so you can actually feel her heartbeat when you are massaging her hands. One other thing of note I'll say about it, and I just discovered this when I went back to play it docked, is that it does not support the Pro Controller. Kind of weird. That really, truly bugged me with Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee. It's like there's no reason why that should not use the Pro Controller if you can play it in handheld mode with the controllers attached to the system. That when developers don't support the Pro Controller like that, when there are options for playing it in handheld mode, that is just a huge pet peeve of mine. That'll do it for my pickups for the week, and I think that's actually going to bring episode 2 of FOMO's a MOFO to a close. I want to thank you for listening. Be sure to subscribe to the show on your favorite podcasting platform of choice. And you can also follow the show on Twitter at FOMO's a MOFO or my personal account at BlueSwim. And the show is now available on Spotify, Spreaker, Deezer, Podcast Addict, Podchaser, JioSaavn in India. I might have mispronounced that. Forgive me if I did. And there are more in the works. I hope all of you have a great week. Thanks again for listening. Happy collecting, everyone.